I'm Father Robert Balazer, the digital Jesuit host of This Week in Enterprise Tech on the This Week in Tech Network. I'm here in Orlando, Florida for Enterprise Connect 2017, and I have the honor of sitting next to Mr. Sajeel Hussain. He is the Executive Vice President and CMO of CafeX. Sajeel, thank you very much for coming on to speak with us.
Thank you, pleasure.
Now, for the folks out there who maybe have not heard of CafeX, what is it that you do?
We provide real-time collaboration software that can transform the way enterprises are providing customer engagement as well as workforce collaboration solutions. So today digital is on the rise. Almost every other enterprise is thinking about digital, thinking about mobile and web strategies. What they're missing on is how do we provide these sort of omni-channel capabilities? How do we take and provide tools to their workforce so that they can be as not just collaborative with one another, but using the right tools to have the most seamless of all experiences with the idea of driving business outcomes. So that's what we're all about.
This idea of a seamless experience seems to be becoming more and more popular. It's one of the buzz phrases here at Enterprise Connect 2017. But what does seamless experience mean to you? Because it's not just the user, it's also the provider that experience needs to be seamless for.
Absolutely. So let's take the example of having a customer engagement experience, right? Today, my experience is when I have an issue with a product or a service of a company, I got to call a 1-800 number. I go from one agent to another agent. Or even if I want to do some sort of a voice or a video experience within the mobile app, I have to download a bunch of plugins because it works on one browser, it doesn't work on the other browser. With CafeX, the Live Assist application that we provide, completely seamless. No downloads needed, whether you want to do a co-browse experience, a voice or a video experience, absolutely nothing downloaded. And from a consumer's perspective, it's easy. Touch of a button, you get connected to the right agent. The agent knows who you are, calling for what reason, and is able to have a much more meaningful conversation. Look at workforce collaboration. I want to get onto a video call and I invite a partner, and if I'm using Skype or Zoom or WebEx, they have to go through all these downloads, which is not a seamless experience. So with Chime, one of the applications that we are profiling over here, the idea is that any user can get into, with a touch of a button, with a link, I can get into a video call, share, collaborate, do everything without having to go through all these shenanigans.
Okay, but I've heard that promise before, and what I've always run into is this idea of inertia. People like the tools that they like. If you use Skype, you want to use Skype. If you use Slack, you want to use Slack. And they're very reluctant to switch from tool to tool to tool. So what is it that will allow you to overcome that application inertia?
One word, business, right? And the reason I say business is, it's not about the technology, to your point. People can talk all day long about the technology, this, that. CafeX today, the Live Assist application as an example, is deployed in 6 out of the top 10 banks. Why? Because we're driving some very specific business outcomes. I talked about Chime and Chime Spaces. When you can have a value proposition to an enterprise that says we can take a workflow, optimize the workflow using collaboration tools in a way that their clients can effectively work with enterprise people, whether they're experts, whether they're advisors, and close a business workflow with the outcomes that they're desiring through digital channels, that's what gets their attention. Everything else is technology for the sake of technology.
Right, exactly, and that's what we're trying to avoid. But for the average IT manager out there who's maybe looking at a deployment, looking at a way to do collaborative work groups across vast distances, what would be your advice? If you had the elevator pitch, if you had the ability to be face-to-face, how would you sell him or her on Chime?
So the two things from a Chime perspective. Today, if you're an IT person, it may be great that your employees are able to collaborate with one another, but the moment you start pulling in people like your partners, people outside the enterprise, that's when things start breaking down. The amount of MCUs that have to be utilized in terms of bandwidth, the amount of, when you're writing a check for the MCUs and the media mixing that happens, it's a lot. Security is another concern. So when you start looking at solutions from CafeX, where you can leverage your existing investments, still provide, I go back to that seamless experience, to employees as well as outside constituents, whether they're partners or whether they're guests, so that you can have that experience, but making it very simple and easy from a firewall traversal perspective. Making sure that you don't have to get up in the middle of the night because a browser vendor pushed an update that broke a plugin, right? We've all been through that. So having that sort of an experience where they don't have to go through point integrations, they come to a vendor like us, they get a platform that's not only able to give 60 to 70% in bandwidth savings, it's easy from a firewall traversal perspective, it works on all browsers, they can sleep well at night because, you know what, it works always on every browser without any plugin, so there's no risk of being broken. That's the kind of experience that we want to provide to both IT guys as well as inexperienced users.
Well, I said it's very ambitious, this idea that you're going to be able to finally unite something that has been so fractured for so many years, but I understand you've got some pretty big backing. I mean, it's not just banking, you've got a few big IT players in the EC space who are coming in.
Absolutely. If you look at Chime, we won Product of the Year, Best of Show in 2016. The Live Assist application, we won Best of Show again at this show in 2014. 6 out of the top 10 banks are using us today, but we have, if you look at Rakuten as an example, one of the big Japanese firm that not only is big on retail, they own Buy.com, Viber, all of that. Rakuten, Itochu, they've signed up with us to provide and be the exclusive distributor of our solutions. There are close to about 40 different firms out there, different verticals, very much interested in Chime, not just because of the technology, but what it can do for them from a business perspective. The acquisition we did, Bayou acquisition that we did, that provides what we call Chime Spaces capability. Same thing, different verticals, ability to drive business outcome, less about the technology, more about the outcome.
Sajeel, thank you very much for speaking with us. Thank you for sharing your technology. Now, if they wanted to find out more, of course, the best place would be to go to an Enterprise Connect, to actually meet your representatives. But if they can't do that, where should they go to find out more about CafeX, more about Chime?
CafeX.com, just go in there. Everything that I talked about, all our applications, demos, everything you can find, people can find out there. Would love to connect and see how we can connect the dots for our customers, for the enterprises, to help bring these solutions to help drive business outcomes for them. Thank you so much.
Thank you again. I'm Father Robert Balacer, and check back with us because we've got more from Enterprise Connect 2017.